Well, Rik, Ben, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Right now, I'm intrigued. You both started off in different directions, but ended up sort of working together, yet turned out to be the same.
Well, it turned out to be the same.
Well, no,
see, he's a Pratt and I'm an intelligent writer, so I don't know how close that is to being the same. But
Pratt.
Yeah, that's an English word for
sexy.
idiot. But sexy.
Sexy.
I basically do a lot of writing, although he does some writing, and I do a bit of performing. He does a lot of performing.
Yes.
So we're different areas of the same ball game, I think.
Okay, but what I'm trying to say is that you started off in totally way apart, you know each other when you first started off.
Not at birth, no, but we met sort of about 18 years after that at university.
Yeah.
Yes, we were both at university.
We were students and very radical and quite socialistic. I don't know how that goes over in Australia. But, our politics brought us together, politics of drinking and having a laugh. And when he became an incredibly funny man on the London alternative comedy scene, he needed someone to write his jokes.
Yes, basically. So Ben writes some of my jokes, and I tell them.
Mm.
So, let's start off as you as a writer then.
Yeah.
At university, what were you studying at university?
I did drama, as did Rik.
That's fine, talk to Ben. Time is money, love.
Yeah, I did drama at university, but I must say my extensive lack of knowledge of various Middle European playwrights has done absolutely nothing for my career. But it was a wonderful thing. Free education for all was a brilliant thing to be able to do. And I wrote lots of comedy plays, and he saw some of them. And I've been writing ever since. And although he says there, when a thing called alternative comedy started in about 79, 80 in London, Rik was doing a lot of stand-up gigs with Viv, Adrian, who plays Vivian.
Right.
And they thought about putting a sitcom together, and myself and Lisa Mayer, who's the other writer, and Rik wrote it. And the rest is showbiz history, I think. But I've been writing ever since. I mean, I write all the time.
Right,
You ever plug my own shows?
Did you do much stand-up comic stuff yourself?
Yeah, I do a lot, actually.
I know you do now, but did you do any then, when you first started writing?
No, it was only when I sort of saw how bad a lot of stand-up comics are that I thought, well, I think I can do that. And
right.
As a sort of sideline, while writing with Rik and various other people, I sort of started being a stand-up comic myself. That was about 5 years ago.
Right.
And since then, I've done it more and more. And just now, much to Rik's resentment, it's really beginning to happen over here. And we've got I've got an album coming out, which is going to, on my own, without him, which is going to be released in Australia with the tour as well. So as a performer, I'm just a fledgling, the merest fledgling, but as a writer, I've got a lot more experience.
Well, forgetting the writing from Rik,
Ian.
did you have no aspirations of being a writer when you first all got together?
No, I don't really need to write so much as Ben does. I just get on stage and do it. Obviously, I need writers like Ben.
There are no writers like Ben.
No, there are not. And he basically writes my jokes for me,
right.
And I rush on and tell them. That's why I'm keeping quiet now.
Okay, so how did you first start it off? I mean, was it a matter of being in university plays, drama?
Yes. I played drama, Shakespeare plays and things like that. And we needed to make some money, so I went on stage in this pub in Manchester, and we wrote a few plays and things, and made a bit of money that way, passed the hat round, as it were.
Right.
Not that hat.
No.
So when did
I'm
you
wearing this
start?
because I've got a stupid haircut.
So when did you then start taking it sort of, shall I use the word seriously, of
When we got serious.
thinking about it as being a career?
I don't think we really think about it as being a career as such. What we do is what we enjoy. So we've just always done the same thing, basically. And when we stop enjoying it, then we'll stop doing it and do something else. It's not really a career.
No, but it's become a full-time situation for you.
Yes. But it's always been a full-time situation. We just haven't always made money out of it.
Right.
I mean, the principle of writing, doing something like The Young Ones, it was an immense, to get serious for one brief second, it's an immense privilege, because we were able to make a private joke, what was making a small group of us laugh. Everyone has private little names for each other, jokes, ways of talking, and it was a wonderful thing to be able to make a success out of something that amused us so much. And in all the other projects, I mean, we do a lot of other things, not together. He does things and I do stuff. I do feel that the most important thing is to make sure that you find it funny yourself, because the minute you start trying to pander to some vague audience that you believe is out there, who will keep you on top or in the middle, wherever you happen to be, then you'll never be funny again, and you'll be a hypocrite and you might as well forget it. So we do it for the laughs, but when Rick says it's not a career, I mean, certainly in my case, I'm not unhappy to be making a living out of it.
Okay, I mean, even in Australia, from universities to repertory groups, the same, I mean, immense amount here in this country. You're one of the few that actually have made it, where there was many that would love to have made it but didn't, and still had their private jokes and that. How come you had the chance to do it then?
Well, I mean, it was a lucky time in London, just the time I was talking about, sort of 79, 80. There was a sort of little feel. There was quite a few talented young comedians doing something rather different to the old form of stand-up comedy, which was a lot of racist and sexist comedy, which we don't really get on with too well. So it was a good time to just be hanging out in London. Also, I think we're quite good at what we do. I mean, I didn't set out to co-write The Young Ones with Rik and Lisa. I set out to write comedy. It's been my ambition ever since I was a kid.
Right.
And I write other series, and I want to write plays, and I want to do my act. And he wants to perform comedy in lots of other ways. So it's just something that it is an ambition. It's a career. I mean, it wasn't just a coincidence that the fact that sort of farty and ploppy are funny words, and well, of course, I mean, he still laughs after 5 years, but
say it again.
I'm beginning farty. There you go. Big gang. But it was simply that I think we can write funny things, and I think the show is incredibly funny.
Shut up, ask me something, Ian.
Yeah, ask Rick.
Collecting the people to perform in The Young Ones.
Yeah.
Was it hard to cast it?
No, there were mainly people that we all knew anyway.
Right.
We were working with them on stage. What we wanted to do was find a situation in which we could put all these comedians together. Alexi Sale and Nigel Planer, who's been over there already, hasn't he?
You're putting on a funny voice now, aren't you?
Yes, this is my funny voice.
Yeah, very amusing, nice.
We wanted a situation where all those people could perform their best characters at their best, and we thought a domestic situation would be better than that. Because we tried a cabaret kind of format where we were all doing our live material on telly, and it just didn't work really, because you can't swear, and you can't shout at the audience or anything.
No one heckles. Not that we want heckles. Right. Not that we want heckles. Big bouncers on our show.
You've got to write something that works in the televisual medium, I think. Right. That's why we wrote The Young Ones.
Okay, I mean, getting on to this then. The first time I saw The Young Ones was when I came across here, it must have been the start of last year, and Russell Mulcahy, who's an Australian film director, had become a great fan, and I think he'd already taped about 3 or 4 of the shows.
Yeah.
And said, sit down and have a look at this, and I was staying over at his house. And I saw like 3, I think, bang, bang, bang like that, and I sat there sort of stunned about the whole thing, And then, after seeing them when they went away the next day, and I really just pissed myself laughing,
Is that true for most Australians, do you think?
Absolutely.
Do you think the references work over there?
Very much so. But what amuses me in the sense of that and puzzles me is that you would have written it basically for an English audience.
No, that's the point I was making before. You write it for yourself.
Right.
You write it, if you try and amuse somebody other than yourself, I believe you're just a charlatan, a hypocrite. It won't work. If you find it funny, then even if it isn't funny, at least you know you did your best, basically.
Right.
That's right.
And you know that you actually can't do any better, and you can take the scripts home and have a little giggle on your own. Now, obviously, the references, it's impossible when you just come out of college or whatever you happen to be doing, not to back reference to things that are in your mind, and, fashion and pop music and whatever.
No, I think there's an underlying theme to the programmes which are quite universal and quite general. I mean, it's just the selfishness and the idea
hypocrisy of youth for a start. Yeah. The incredible. We are young. Young ones are important, which the media, ram down your throat every day. You're over 25, forget it. We're in London. They're theming pubs now that a sort of 45-year-old wouldn't even dream of going. And it's just all tubular steel and Duran, which personally cheeses me off because I like to go in for a quiet pint. But this is a
There's also
a little bugbear of my own.
Also, we'd grown up with television, which other people working in the medium hadn't.
Right.
So our main source of entertainment, certainly mine, and I think our generation's, is television, really. Right. You go out and see a few live band gigs, but the main thing you do every night is you watch telly. So we wanted to make specifically something that was the most entertaining, in our terms, the most entertaining, exciting and wild television show we could. I mean, my favourite programme when I was a kid was Python. Monty Python, and
The Kings.
what you liked about that was just that it was so exciting. You didn't know what was going to happen from one minute to the next. So that's why we didn't want to have incredibly clever plots or anything like that. We just wanted to create a situation where anything can happen. So which is why we have the little sketches in the middle of it and characters, and then the plot's often just thrown away at the end, and is of no importance except to lead into a few gags.
Okay, after sort of realising how successful, after X amount of shows shown here, how successful the show had become in this country, and then the talk goes that the show is going to be shown in Australia. How did you think it would be received?
Couldn't really work it out. I mean, we obviously, I was personally a little bit obsessed with the local references, you know, with specifically British things. Although there's a lot of cultural crossover, I mean, Cliff Richard's very big in Australia, and rightly so. Big man, big star, great voice. But I was worried about that. But I did think that, the basic comedy of character of selfish, slovenly, boring modern young people, which I suppose is what we've been ever since we left home ourselves, would cross over. I was much more surprised when we began to hear that people in the States were getting into it.
Right, exactly. I mean,
that I thought, their culture is so much. I mean, they seem to even, almost respect some of the things that that we might find annoying. There's a hyper sell, a sort of I, me, mine attitude. I mean, Rick's character, I'm going to bloody well, get what I want. If it, I'm going to bloody well, get what I want. He can do the character, I can't. Maybe the Americans would actually get into, I mean, that kind of hard sell of yourself, the selfishness. Right. I don't know. I mean, I want to slag them off. I've never been there. But it seems to be going well over there, which is very nice. But Australia didn't surprise us. Without being cocky, we thought, well, it should still be funny. There's nothing different.
Yeah, I mean, we get Australian comedians in England.
We love them.
In Britain, rather. And that works. You get Hogs and little Australian Barkers. They're good.
You were talking about Rodney Rood before.
Yeah, he's good. Because I went over to Australia a couple of years ago and saw a few people there. And who's the guy? Norman Gunston, of course.
And then you've had the Dame Eaton Overages coming out
for years.
Well, I mean, Barry Humphries is just unbelievable. You ever seen him live?
Yeah,
extraordinary. Don't sit in the front row, but he'll pinch your shoes.
So I mean, because that worked over with us, there's no reason why we shouldn't work over there.
But Brit comics have often gone well over in Australia. I mean, before us there was the Knot team and all that.
There's a long tradition. The two Ronnies go over. Hancock went over, didn't they?
Sure, but I mean, like this became not only a very successful series, but also it gained a huge cult following overnight. I mean, suddenly after about the third of the series, you have people having young one parties and wandering around the streets.
We never got. Isn't that because there's a generation? Isn't that because there's a generation that isn't represented on screen, apart from the rock and roll culture?
Right.
I mean, actually, as far as comedy and something like that's concerned, that generation isn't represented.
I think
so that's why people take it to their hearts. I think
there's a serious point there in that the culture that Americans pump out. In terms of youth culture, is unbelievably confident. I mean, kids are cool. Like the star of Back to the Future, great actor, really funny film, but he's cool. He's the king, And that's their sort of pose, the hero kids that are going to be cock of the walk. Whereas I think over here we find wimps more funny. Even their film Revenge of the Nerds turned out to be actually cooler than anybody. Well, Rick stays at the level of utter farty wimpiness, as does.
Well, that's our experience of youth is spots and having a hard time and nobody agreeing with you.
Nobody agreeing. Everyone's thinking you're a bit of a prat and you've got boring opinions. You haven't got any cash, and if you're a bloke, you haven't got any girlfriend.
We didn't want to put nice people on the screen because it's not funny, really. The funniest people are the bastards. Really,
Baz and Faulty. Now there's comic creation.
But however, I mean, each character within the young ones became a favourite and became endeared to the public, whether they found the revolting on screen.
But that was never manufactured. That was never engineered. That's because the characters were played truthfully. Probably.
Yeah.
And so you got to know them really well, like a brother. Like even if you got the most horrible brother, you'll still like him because he's your brother.
Okay, now just what you do done over the last sort of 2 years. You go out on the road and do your own act.
Well, Rick and I have been touring together now for about 18 months. We do a show where, I do a lot of comedy, and he does a lot of comedy.
When does the first half, then I do the second half?
We meet up sometimes.
So you've got no one else around you, but
no one. It's pure stand-up comedy.
How hard was that to do once you come out of a family thing? I guess.
Oh no, because the young ones was what came out of the live gigging. The live gigging is where we started.
Before that.
You know, I mean, in a way, that was...
You'd both toured before?
Yeah,
Yeah,
played
separately.
clubs and things,
right.
comedy stores in London and places.
Yeah.
Then the young ones was just...
No, I realise that, but not together. So
No, we sort of paths crossed
Right.
quite often in the
You'd be on the
early
same
days.
bill sometimes.
Yeah, but the idea that the two of us, basically, you know, we enjoy each other's company, we work together a lot, and the show does seem to work. It has a balance with the sort of comedy I do, which is a lot more about ideas, a lot more about writing images and jokes, and Rik perhaps is more a character comedian. Well, he must be more, because I'm not at all a character comedian.
Character comedian, I mean, excitement.
Excitement.
Well, how hard was it before all the fame, as far as television was concerned, to be a stand-up comic and get an audience?
Well, it's tough. You used to get sort of...
There wasn't much of a tradition either, you see, because TV killed all the musicals and everything.
Right.
There was the only people who kept it going were the bands. They're the people who kept it live, apart from the theatre, which is
Right.
silly.
It's true, actually. I mean, when in about 5 years ago, there was about 2 sort of pubs that you could gig in as a totally unknown comedian in London.
We used to play the rock and roll circuit, really.
You played at the pub rock, you know, where somebody gets up with a guitar and plays old Buddy Holly hits, you know. Then you maybe have a stand-up comedian. It's got a lot better recently, because there's a sort of short tradition now. I mean, in a way, with the young ones, they're the sort of older generation. There's other people around London now just beginning to gig. And so I think there is a circuit now, which is good. But at first, certainly, it was weird, and we met quite a lot of resistance. I mean, you play at midnight in a London pub that's got an extension, you're going to get 50% wally who are just in there for the drinking.
Right.
And they give you a serious seeing to when time comes for heckling. Which
After
is
the
quite
program,
hard school.
but after the program came out, it was much. Well, it gets harder and it gets more difficult because people have a higher expectation of you, but you get a full theatre.
Okay, before we talk about the show we can expect in Australia, Rik, I mean, I read somewhere where a comedian should be, in fact, the best actor in the world because of their timing. They've learnt their timing to a craft. To do serious acting,
Yeah.
do you enjoy it?
No.
Do you do much of it?
No.
Why?
Because it's too
Boring.
boring, really. Yeah. I mean, what I like my heroes are people who create in a live situation tremendous excitement. I'm reading a book called Hellfire at the moment, which is Jerry Lee Lewis's biography.
Right.
And the things those boys used to get at him, and Little Richard in particular, it's like the Sex Pistols for that reason as well. They're just, and Hendrix, people who just create incredible atmosphere live. Now that's a very delicate thing to engineer, but you don't get that if you're doing, I don't know, Hamlet or something straight. You don't get that same kind of feeling of real excitement in the theatre. So that's really the reason I don't do it.
Yeah.
Also,
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, for me it's different because I mean I have only one performance skill, and that's stand-up comedy. I can do that, or at least people laugh. You know, maybe you lot won't. I don't know. But I can't act, so a question never arises. But I write comedy. I mean, I don't just write the young ones. I write series just finished with a series for Rowan, and don't sniff when I'm talking about other people's shows. And just generally, you know, I do a lot of writing, that's what I do, but I'm interested in writing comedy. But when you say serious, you see, I'm serious about my comedy.
Right.
And Rik's serious about that excitement he's talking about. It's not something, you can't just go on stage and bang a bottle on your head and think people are going to be excited. There's got to be wit there, there's got to be ideas there's got to be something to draw people in. I mean, everybody's seen the local bloke who thinks he's a bit crazy, just basically farting around on the end of the block. But for me, it's a very serious business, writing things as funny as you can possibly write them. And I spend sort of 10 hours a day doing it. So that's, as far as I'm concerned, it's serious.
There's much more to comedy than just laughing.
Yeah. I know who made the statement. It was Sir John Gielgud, of where he's gone into comedy, especially like with Arthur and things like that. And he found it extremely satisfying, but he thought it was extremely hard with the timing and just that perfection. That's where
it is on
a
film.
comedian should be the best actor in the world, you know, even playing a straight role.
That's the point. I mean, the difference between live comedy, even something like The Young Ones, which is basically a live performance recorded. I mean, obviously you can stop and retake, but it's still got some of that excitement. But film comedy, I mean...
Well, you haven't got an audience there.
No,
so you can't really... I mean, you can use from your theories, you know, whether something's going to be funny or not. You can leave a pause long enough so the laugh won't cover the feed for the next line. But it's very difficult on film. I don't particularly enjoy doing film. TV is different because you've got a studio audience, but the best of all is obviously live.
But then you found someone like Sellers being able to sort of...
Well, he's a genius.
I mean, it can be done. I'm sure we'll crack it one day, or I hope we will. But I don't have any great ambition to write film. I mean, I've had the opportunity to do so, but when I write something that lasts more than half an hour, it's going to be a play.
Right.
Because I'd like to write 10 brilliant farces that could go around and one could have different companies doing them, and we could reach a large audience just by reviving live work. I mean, sure, there's nothing wrong with filming. I love going to the movies. But Jesus, 6 months to write a thing, 6 months to make it.
And all the money and everything. And it's governed by money people as well,
yeah.
isn't it? Who say, no, you can't do that. But such and such a section of the audience, won't laugh at that. And
telly is
getting in the way,
is a medium, certainly in Britain, where they seem to take the telly quite seriously. I mean, the people that make it, after, BBC did let us make the young ones, which is good. It's good of them, basically. I mean, they paid us, obviously.
I imagine the situation could be worse now. There's a bill going through Parliament.
Winston Churchill, not the original one, the new one.
He's written out this bill. That, I mean, for some of the things we did in the young ones, we could go to jail for.
Yeah, you couldn't have made I, Claudius. You couldn't even make Jewel in the Crown, the beating scene in Jewel in the Crown. But anyway, that's something we've got to worry about. But for the grace of God goes Australia.
So what is the bill?
Oh, it's an obscene. It started off trying to basically. If you want to know, what we've got here is a government in crisis. And when you've got a government in crisis, they desperately seek round for a massively populist issue to avoid the wider issues like the economy and unemployment.
Hence the Channel Tunnel fuss.
Hence Channel
Reagan
Tunnel.
making a fuss about Star Wars.
Yeah.
All this.
So we've got our government, the Tories, have finally realised they can't pull law and order on us anymore because the street fighting's getting so bad. Searching around. So now we've got a huge anti-heroin campaign, which is cool. But the reason people are taking heroin is because they haven't got jobs and they haven't got anywhere to live. And we've also got a huge now, we must get violence off the screen because kids are being violent in the streets. Obviously everyone knows the reason kids are being violent in the streets because they're living 40 floors up in a place with no lift and their heads are getting affected. But basically it's a silly side issue to divert opinion, and we're going to suffer because we wouldn't be able to make series through the young ones. Not that we're going to anyway, because we wouldn't sell out.
Okay, I've got to ask this
We've
because...
got to change tapes, I'm afraid.
Sorry?
You have to ask us this, yeah.
Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, a big question at home, and you were saying it downstairs about MTV and said, what, you've only made 12 shows. The same big question came up at home, where people want to see more, and suddenly, the network was saying, well, there's no more,
Well, I think we exhausted the situation there. The second series, I think, was better made than the first, but we were restricted by not having so many things we could do because we'd already done them.
Right.
If you want a feeling of anything can happen, a real feeling of excitement, then you're not going to be able to get that if they say, oh, that's the program where there's more than likely the wardrobe will explode now, or it's more than likely that Rik will shout "bam" or something.
Yeah.
Then it's not as exciting because you kind of expect anything. So we thought we'd knock it on the head there and work on something else.
Which we are doing.
Also, the guys aren't that young anymore. I mean, Nigel's over 30.
Right.
Leg's over 30. Yeah.
You're nearly blooming 30.
I'm nearly 25.
And and I'm 13. The other side of the coin is, I mean, you must have had that experience of thinking, oh, I wish they hadn't done that. They were the heroes. I loved them. I just wish they hadn't done that piece of crap work that we're all going to have to forgive them for. And of course you always do. I mean, my heroes, they can really do, what they want. But there's a niggling doubt about why do it. You're so good. Stop while you win. We're not going to stop. We're at the very start. But I mean, we knew Series 2 was better written, was better performed, etc. But nonetheless, the edge that Series 1 had, the real feeling, the shockwave that it created, which surprised us and was very flattering and encouraging, was already just ebbing off.
You were getting the same reaction that we got to the first, when the first series went out, because you're getting all 12 at the same time, presumably.
But there was a year and a half's gap, and people said, it was the same with Fawlty Towers. The second series of Fawlty Towers, of which there were only 12, was fabulous. But just at first, people went, it's not quite as good as
Same as last time, isn't it?
And I mean, the way you can grind it out. I know, a lot of people say, oh yeah, but another 6. I mean, I'd like to see another 6, or at least a Christmas special or something, but we're talking about a year and a half's work. I mean, Cleese said the reason Fawlty Towers was so brilliantly simple was because he spent longer writing it than any other piece of work he's ever done. That was why it was so simple. 6 weeks an episode, all day, every day. Getting it down to that. And although, I mean, we work pretty hard on the young ones as well. It takes a long time.
But there are more. I mean, there are more things than that. I mean, it was a program about
Something we were
Britain in
then.
the early 80s and what we were interested in then, and we're now coming into the second half of the decade, and we ought to be writing something perhaps more contemporary.
Mind you,
I'm not slagging the thing off. I think it's. I'm very proud of it.
Yeah.
But
there is a
we need to move on
situation, I
as
don't know whether
writers.
you ever did it with Fawlty Towers,
Yeah.
where people would tape them all and suddenly, and you could watch them like you play a record. I mean, you know,
Well, that's
with
good.
films, you buy a film, like a video cassette of some film, you put it on once and you probably never see it again, you know. The same things happen with the young ones, where people go home after...
Give us
and
their
they've been at a
addresses,
rock
it's blooming
concert.
illegal.
Well, I don't know their addresses, but some people I hear do.
Cash you're watching on your videos.
Well, don't come
and see
around
the
at
show.
home then. But I mean, people do enjoy
No,
it. Do you enjoy sort of sometimes looking back at the series?
I don't watch it. I mean,
I do all
he
the
watches
time.
himself every night with a huge bottle of whiskey and a shaking cigar. You know, I used to be funny. But I never watch anything
It's
again.
not
But
to say
that's because I'm still in work. You see,
Yeah.
and this guy's a has-been. You know, I mean, I've been working on lots of other things.
Sold out. He's worked
no.
for Rowan Atkinson, worked for people who went to Oxford and Cambridge.
Yeah,
trying to make
absolutely.
money for himself.
But when I'm working myself, writing a brilliant play, which you're going to see soon. But the thing about Rick saying it was when we were then, I don't think it was so much the early 80s. I mean, I first tapped a line of the young ones. I'd only been at a university a year and a half. I've now been out 6 years.
Yeah.
You know, not that it was they were 4 students, but we dumped that pretty quickly. You know, it was just 4 young people. But you know, there was a lot of resonant images that one wanted to get out, and we did it, and they all came out. And if people enjoy watching them over and over again, that's terrific. And we're doing this live show, which is an extension of a lot of those ideas, although no way is a young one show. Obviously, there's only one of the performers there, and only 2 of the writers. It's much more what we were before, root stuff, but it connects in so many ways. There's lots of what people enjoy in the young ones in our stage show. And what we do next will not be a million miles from that, because it comes from the same brain. And as I said at the beginning of the interview, you've got to amuse yourself. And I don't think our senses of humour have changed massively. But the situation and the targets and the way you excite yourself has to change, or else you won't be excited and you'll become boring.
Yeah, I mean, it's much better than to let it drag on for series after series until it's really crap.
Right.
And everyone says, well, it used to be good in the beginning. You know, why not stop at the beginning?
There was one more good series. I'm certain we could have done 18, and I think it's
Yes.
good we only did 12.
Right.
Maybe we will. I don't
Okay, let's
we
get
will.
back onto the Australian side of the tour, going down there. You obviously both enjoy being on stage and working with a live audience.
Certainly.
The most important.
Does it alter... Do you alter much performance from the audience?
Yes.
I mean, obviously a play does, everything does, but
because the audience is the director, you know. If they,
can it send you off on another tangent? I mean, especially like an audience, if you go down to Australia and suddenly see that there's quite a few idiosyncrasies.
Definitely. I mean, for me, in terms of the material, I mean, I'm going to really have to be looking at that. I mean, I'm an observer. What I like is people coming to me after gigs and say, "Yeah, you said it," and that's what I was thinking, but I never said it. You know, I don't blow my own trumpet, but that's something I sometimes hear. Now, maybe people in Australia have experienced totally different things, which I doubt they have. I'll have to change all my images, so I'm going to keep my ears open very much. But that's off stage. That's what you do in the morning when you think, Christ, I didn't get a laugh last night. Maybe no one's heard of Iron's baked beans over here or whatever. Nice. But on stage, if you get an electric audience, as Rick says, if it's the director, then the chance to improvise is fabulous. If you've got your set firm, you know what you're doing, and something happens, something good happens, you get a laugh where you didn't expect it, then of course, yeah, it's a constantly growing thing, and you think, Christ, I wish I'd take that gig, because then I'd remember the improvisation.
Right.
But really, I think it's a good rule, never try and recreate an improvisation. God just gives you them once and forget them. Never do them again. They're never funny again. What do you think?
well, I don't know, because I work in a different way to Ben. He's more to do with jokes and words. He stays at the mic, and I do what?
Climb all over the theatre.
Yeah, I do things. Well, it depends on the audience, you know.
Yeah.
Try and find out who they are, and then give them the best time they can have. 'Cause that's what the fun is.
Right.
The audience of the director then, and the writer, you know. So my stuff would tend to vary more night to night.
Yeah.
It depends what I'm feeling like and what the audience are like, really.
That's true, it does. I mean, Rick varied it, I think it was in Great Yarmouth, wasn't it, when he fell 12 feet into the orchestra pit, which was a lovely variation, got a huge laugh. But strangely, he never tried to create that improvisation again, did you?
No.
Weird, but the big bump on the head was funny the next night, wasn't it?
And the little rib sticking into the lung.
Went to the doctor, they said, get back on stage, you're not hurt at all, you punts.
Well, we look forward to you coming down.
Well, we're
What's
looking
your
forward to
feel
it,
like?
haven't we? Yeah. Well, thanks for talking to us.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks a lot, Ian.
All right, we'll just do some promos. Now, I don't understand
I'm
it.
going to get a 2-shot before
Yeah.
everything changes. Still really good.
Is that, I've never seen the
Well,
show,
what's that?
Ian. It's,
Sorry, that was
what's that good for you? Are you going to do a real?
wrong.
Yeah, it's just, well, this is only reversed, we need that.
This isn't going to match any of the positions you've struck.
No, this is a 2-shot of us listening to
Yes.
Ian's question.
I've I'll cut with the rest of it anyway.
No, don't forget you did a lot of the interviews straight, matey boy.
Yes, a little gag, don't you?
It was a lovely
Right,
gag.
can you talk again, please? I can see your jaw.
Right, and blah 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 blah. Uba, boka mais eu do já. Uma, usual. Up here. All right.
Do you think you need it, Ian? I mean,
We will actually need a bit because this could be very
I'm
fast.
sorry, Rick. Just.
No, I mean, I had to do this every week South Offer for 30 weeks.
It's horrible to do, isn't it?
Yeah, don't worry, we don't mind. Whether you say anything.
I'll tell you what I couldn't do
Yeah.
is when for the newspaper they ask the question, like that, and then they have to sit down and ask the same question again with them looking, and then they have to look at the answers and they have to look and see them going.
Great, thanks a lot.
Good evening, Australia. Get this. Coming up soon on ABC TV at 8:30, Thursday, March the 13th, D-Generation. A new Australian comedy show, follow at 9 o'clock by The Young Ones. Right? Right.
Try on which is better.
Yeah, right, just another one.
Or which is
I can get British, it's fine. And the other one's,
What about...
anyway, British comedy, but who cares about countries or people essentially, except I'm best.
That's all right, yeah.
Okay, we go again. Yeah. Okay, so we're on.
Good evening, Australia. Or good morning. Oh, who cares? Fast again.
That'll go on.
Hello, Australia. It's me, Rick. And get this. Coming up soon on ABC TV at 8:30, Thursday, March the 13th, D-Generation, a raunchy new Australian comedy show, followed at 9 o'clock by The Young Ones, a British comedy. But who cares what country you're from? All people are the same as far as I'm concerned, except I'm best.
That's great. That's a good one. Right.
Okay?
Right.
You must have had a lot of fun, mate.
Yeah.
Are you going? Are you running? Right.
Hello. Oh. Next Thursday, D-Generation at 8:30, followed by The Young Ones, a great weekly treat, a great comedy hour. Dig the time? I don't. Good morning.
Yeah. Running?
As you say, I've been asked to read this.
Hello, Australia. I've been asked to read this. That's that done. Oh, little joke there for Australia. Yes, get this. Next Thursday, D-Generation at 8:30. 8:30. D-Generation is at 8:30. Followed by The Young Ones, a great comedy hour from a great television station. Nice one, Channel 9. No, Channel, what is it? Channel... See you next week. It's Rick. Good evening. Tonight at 8:30, D-Generation. Followed by The Young Ones. The Young Ones at 9 o'clock. Don't miss it, or words to that effect. Don't miss it, for definite. Cut.
You want to do a high square sort of thing?
Yeah.
High squares, feeling unfashionable, dig
Yeah.
this one.
Yeah, right.
Okay?
Yep.
Hi, Squares. Feeling unfashionable? Well, dig this one. Tonight at 9 o'clock, The Young Ones. And that's me from Elton. Get it or don't get it there. Don't be square. Which I'm not. Okay, Australia? Be watching.
Calling all kids. Yeah. This is a youth report. Sorry. Calling all kids. This is a youth report.
Yes.
Calling all kids. This is the Youth Report. Rock and roll and revolution. Tonight at 9 o'clock with The Young Ones. Don't miss it, or words to that effect. I've made that mistake before.
You want to do the degeneration, or is it just...
Yeah.
We should try a couple coming out without a sort of mistakey out.
Yeah.
You know. Get it? Right on. It's brilliant. And if you don't like it, you're stupid.
Can we
And
do
so's
that
your
one?
mum.
Can we just do it like calling all you kids
Yeah.
and teenagers and rock lovers, right? And we'll have this on, because the countdown's on the Sunday night, so we'll have it straight after, like, the number one, bang into this, right?
Right.
This Thursday, don't miss the young ones.
So that was a great team sound, wasn't it, kids? Mum's out and it's time to get going or something.
It was the end of the programme.
Yeah, we'll do it at the end of the programme, and it'll be the promo for the Thursday, coming this Thursday, the young ones.
So it's next Thursday.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That was a great pop sound.
Yeah, come on, borrow your hat in. Do you mind? Right. Right, we've got speed.
Get the cowboy.
Okay. Yeah. That was a great sound. Next Thursday.
That was a great pop sound, wasn't it, kids? Let's hear something better.
Hey, that was a great pop sound, wasn't it, kids? But next Thursday there's something even better. Yes, it's rock and roll time. It's get down. It's revolution. It's Rastafarian. It's everything you want. It's me in the young ones. Ooh! Dig the hat?
Get the cowboy look, it's going to be bigger than it is.
Yeah.
Try being a bit sort of cool.
Hi, kid.
How do you sit, Ian, normally?
Yeah, like
that.
Right.
How do you pronounce your surname?
Molly.
Molly. They call you Molly, or Ian Molly.
No, yeah, probably.
Where I come
Yeah.
from, Molly's a girl's name.
Okay?
Hi, kids. Molly here. Where I come from, Molly's a girl's name. Sorry, Molly. Sorry.
Not there's anything wrong with being a girl, right on. Not there's anything wrong with being a girl. Let's not be sexist, kids.
That's too complicated.
Yeah, do that one, that one again. But play the show as well.
Right, plug the young ones or D-Generation,
No.
next Thursday.
No, next Thursday,
Young
young
ones,
ones, right?
Okay? Right.
Hi, kids. Molly here. Where I come from, Molly's a girl's name. Not that there's anything wrong with being a girl. Let's not be sexist. Next Thursday, kids. All right, coppers. Next Thursday, kids. Watch the young ones at 9 o'clock. It's brilliant, and I'm in it. Me, Molly, the girlie who runs this show. That's it. Cut.
That's great. That's unreal. Unreal.
Yeah, that's you got, is that?
Yeah.
Is that cool?
So that's enough of that.
It would be.
Trouble is we don't know where or when we're doing
Yeah,
it.
we don't know. We're going to be on your live stages soon.
Yeah.
You know.
Mine's Rik Mayall, mine's Ben Elton.
Yeah. Will these go out after you've shown the interview?
We're on tour at the moment. Don't know where.
Don't know where, but it's going to be brilliant.
So come and see us.
So don't bring your mum.
Yeah. Unless she's really bored. Don't bring your parents.
Not being ageist or anything.
Tell you what, I'm just going to use it.
Yes. And we're on tour.
Yeah. Yes. I'm Rick's mum, Ben Elton, and we're
On tour.
on tour
At the moment, don't know where, don't know when.
But it's utterly brilliant. So come and see us,
and I'm better.
and don't bring your parents.
Okay, we've got speed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll come into it. Ready?
Hi, kids. My name's Rik Mayall, and this is my mother.
Yeah, I'm Rick's mum. My name's Ben Elton, and we're on tour on your stages now.
And we don't know where.
We don't know when,
We don't know why.
but it's going to be utterly brilliant.
And I'm going to be the best.
No, I'm going to be the best.
So come and see us, and don't bring your parents.
No.
That's it, isn't it?
Right. We'll just do one more.
Right.
Just a variation. That was great.
Hello, kids. Mine's Rik Mayall. Well, so we can do two. We won't put the same jokes.
So have a can of, what about, rip open a can of Coke, buy some crisps, you know, and get down to where the action is.
I'm pregnant.
Yeah.
I'm the father, and so am I.
Yes.
Right, can I just
That's
see what
good,
up
yes.
in position and I'll frame up. Right. Can you get any closer without?
We love each other, but we love comedy more.
And that's why we've come all the way to Australia to be funny for you.
To be funny for you.
Okay, you're on to-
Right, cobbers?
Whenever you're ready.
Okay. Ready?
Yep.
Hi, kids. My name's Rik Mayall, and I'm pregnant.
And I'm the father.
And so am I.
We love each other, but we love comedy more.
And that's why we've come all the way to Australia to entertain you with our jokes.
All right, cobbers? That's a word for Australians.
So come and see us in our show, wherever it is, whenever it is. Definitely.
It's very funny.
Okay.
Jesus Christ.